Most players in Crimson Desert have no idea how much damage they're missing out on, and it all really comes down to one system in the game. When you skip crafting and refinement, you don't just really get to lose out on a lot of damage per second, you're locking yourself out of something way cooler, and it's the ability to take any item in the game and give it the exact stats that you want, or at least close to them depending on their armor type. And after the last patch, refinement is even more accessible than ever, and most people still haven't touched it. Like, did you know, for example, your amulet is going to give you double its bonuses into your character? This video is going to break down stuff like that across crafting, refinement, abyss gears, sockets, synthesis, end to end. So no more leaving damage on the table. So let's get started. And really it all starts over here at a blacksmith. So I'm at the blacksmith in Hernand. And before we get into actually crafting things, I want to talk very quickly about finding crafting recipes. You can oftentimes just find them on vendors or in the game world. On the actual mini map, you're going to see little book icons. They'll sometimes be hidden in manors. They'll be in actual stores of vendors. Whatever the situation is, you just go ahead and pick up those crafting recipes. They then go into your inventory, into this. I've grouped them together by crafting books specifically. You have the different ones for recipes that pertain to food, but we're talking specifically about crafting. And you'll have, one-handed weapons, volume 2, or cloth armor, volume 1. As long as this is grayed out, you have this knowledge. It even says 1 of 1. But you go ahead and select this item. You press use, you'll then read the book. It's just kind of a cool thing that if you're in the game world and you want to know what you learned, like me, I'm not at a blacksmith, you can just jump to the second page and look at it and it'll tell you, hey, here's all the items that you've learned from this book. So wanted to talk about that because it is important so that you know how to get all the crafting recipes for things. And these are a lot of the basic items. You will learn to craft pretty cool legendary items as you go through this. But once we get those actual recipes, we come over to the smithy. Now, I am specifically at the smithy in Hernand. There are smithies all over the world. It's going to be really important to use the smithy, say, in your camp or in, well, something else. I don't want to spoil anything. But this is for spoiler's sake, I don't want to spoil anything, but also it's going to help us for refinement because of refinement tokens, which we'll talk about next. But we just jump into crafting. This is all super straightforward. There's no mystery to the actual crafting system. It's everything else after that gets super convoluted and really crazy. And all we do here, we click here. There's no substitutions for nearly any of this stuff. Not like it is for, say, cooking, where there's lots of substitutions. And you can make one-handed, two-handed weapons, bows, firearms, shields, leather equipment, cloth equipment, bullets, everything, right? And even then, there's really nothing that you're going to be swapping out for the majority of any of this gear. So just for continuity's sake, we'll just go ahead and make one of these axes. I'm going to press the new R button, or it was added in the most recent patch, just immediately make it without having to worry about substitutions, and take a picture for a thumbnail, because why not? But this is how crafting works. Now, crafting gets more complicated when we take a look at a system that sits adjacent to it, and that is refinement. Now, refinement is, I think, also pretty straightforward. You're simply going to take an item and you're going to improve upon it. These little symbols up here denote that it is going to be, that's the refinement level of the item. When you're taking a look at refinement screen, the right item over here is what it currently is. The left item is what it will become. So for example, this ogre ring, this says we're at a total of refinement 5 down here. Well, if I look up here, that's refinement 6. So very simple, very straightforward. And we have 3 ways to refine as of the most recent patch. So let's take a look at this Grey Wolf wooden shield. Refinement materials is the basic way to do it. You just simply go and harvest 10 timber, and you can go ahead and push this from 0 to then refinement level 1. But now we get refinement tokens. Refinement tokens, specifically this one says Hernand refinement token, but I've got some that say different locations. I don't want to ruin anything. And like Paloon is one of them. So you get like a Paloon refinement token. Well, then that only works at a Paloon smith. So I think there's a Greymane one as well. So those refinement tokens you have to use at the specific location. Refinement isn't going to matter from location to location. We're simply just trying to improve the item. So using the token, we'll just go ahead and just show you how that works. We just go ahead there. Oops. we're good. We refine it. And I'll just take another screenshot because why not? That was, I think that was the perfectly timed one there too, right? Like, so we've gone ahead and refined that gray wolf wooden shield. Good and easy. Now there's another system that you can do within this, and it isn't just simply using the refinement token and the refinement materials, which are very, you know, here's the list of the materials you're going to need to use to do that. You also have the ability to use same equipment. So you can take an already existing ogre ring in your backpack that is the same refinement level. It can't be a level 1 into a level 3. They both have to be the exact same level of refinement. And then in this case, it's an abyss artifact. At the earlier levels, it'll just simply be that equipment itself. Like 2 worn rings that have no refinement level can be refined together to make a tier 1 refinement level worn ring, just one. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this just for the sake of the video here. We've got everything ready. We would just go ahead and refine, and we'll be done right there. So we'll skip through that, and we've got that ring. So that's refinement. Again, very easy to understand. Refinement and crafting, pretty straightforward. But there is a cool thing I want to show you when it comes to refinement and being able to kind of plan ahead for your character. So if we take a look at our inventory, we have this details button. On a computer, it is R, or mouse and keyboard, it's R. On a controller, it's Y. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the details here for the Glenmore sword. Not much information is told right here, but if I press Y again, or press F on keyboard, it brings up refinement details. So this helps you plan out all of your refinement for items down the road. You know, hey, you know what? I've pulled tons of iron ore out. Okay, well, great. I can now use it because I can see this is going to cost me 2 + 3 + 4 iron ore + 5 iron ore + 6 iron ore. So I can get a sense for how much iron ore it's going to cost me to do each step of these refinements. And furthermore, I can see any of the other items that it's going to cost me to do that refinement. This just allows me to plan for these things going forward. And my closing note here on the refinement system is just again about these refinement tokens. In the patch notes, it made it sound like these tokens will bring an item from 0 up to level 4 or 5. It is actually, if you see right here, it says, however, these tokens can only be used for equipment that has been refined less than 5 times, as the tokens from the Duke are not enough to cover the cost of valuable resources required beyond that point. So what this will do is each token will level it up just once. It will not default send it from 0 to 4 or 0 to 5, whatever. So as long as you've not refined it beyond 5 refinements, like, so let's go ahead and find something else down here. I don't think I have any there. See, none of these will work with refinement tokens because, well, this might, no, clearly I can't read it right. But none of those ones that have that high refinement will work. It needs to have under that level of refinement in order to use any of those tokens. I don't feel like I was clear enough on it, so I want to just make sure we fully understand that. So we've crafted something, we've refined something, but what about the nuance of items? Because there's a lot of nuance to these things. And what I want to talk about now is implicits. Now, if you've played action RPGs, this is a term, implicits, where you're saying that there are implicated stats or implied stats that are present on specific item types. And that is true in this game. All armor is broken into one of 3, well, let's just say 4 categories, because there's kind of like a miscellaneous category, but cloth, leather, and then plate. Well, plate is on here somewhere. Plate armor. Plate is the other one. It looks like I'm gonna have to go to my inventory for that. But plate armor. So cloth, its implicit is movement speed. Right now I have frost crusted plate armor on that says movement speed level 2. That's why this says right here level -1. So just ignore that. But cloth armor will always have an implicit of movement speed attached to it. Leather armor will have a number of different implicits. Lightning resist is very common, which you'll also get stuff like critical rate is going to be very common, and usually attack speed somewhere else on a different piece. Usually it's like on like your gloves, but those are your implicits for leather and for cloth. But we also have them for plate as well. Plate armor will typically have a defense that is higher than any of the other types, which is, I think, kind of self-explanatory. But if we take a look over here that says Solus plate armor, the game will tell you if it's plate, leather, or cloth. It'll just say it in the name. So that is just kind of worth noting. But on top of the defense, you will typically have daze immunity on a helmet or a different piece. So higher defense and daze immunity are all the hallmarks of any of your plate pieces. The kind of ongoing consensus right now is that plate is king just because of that higher defense. But this video is geared towards teaching you how to use this system. And this system is geared towards teaching you that you can also use any item you want and put whatever abyss gears into it to get the stats somewhat where you want them to be. If something's got one less defense than another item, fuck it. As long as you enjoy the look of it or the feel of it, that's what you should be using. So we now understand those basics of items. Let me then go into some further details about how specific items and specific slots have different effects on your actual character. Before we really get into discussing abyss gears and everything, you have to understand how these stat points work. And they're clustered in fives. It's like 5, 10, 15 is when you start to get boosts towards attack, defense, and what have you. I don't know the actual set numbers of crit rates and attack speeds and movement speeds and all that, but you also have to understand how your items play into these stats below, because items have stats on them, right? Attack and defense, 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 attack, defense. Those are all present. Well, they're not always applied. So what do I mean by that? When you use a weapon, whether it's a two-handed weapon, whether it's a sword and a shield, whether it's your fisticuffs, whether it's your bow and arrow, whether it is your two-handed dual-wielding weapons, whatever weapon is out is what gets the bonus. Let me show you how that actually works. And further, your amulet will get double whatever it has here, depending on the situation. So this says attack 6, it actually is going to give you 12. And these numbers are rounded. There's some sort of hidden decimal that is not present here. I don't know how you find that. But right now, my character with nothing out has 11 attack. This is typically generated by skills, whatever the situation is. But let's just say the character has 11 attack right now rather than just a goose egg. And if I take out my weapon, oops, actually, I had to take out my actual weapon. Here we go. Take out my weapon and we go back to our inventory. You can see that it shows you attack, Sword of Greed 43. Well, let's take a look at the Sword of Greed. Its attack is actually 21. How does this work? Well, we get attack from the actual abyss gear on it. So this is going to set it to 22 actually. So that look at the attack is 22. We already knew that we had 11 before we even did this. That brings us up to 33. And then we have this ogre ring, which adds another 12, right? So the number should be 45. I don't know where the rounding goes on, but what my point here is, it's going to add in your equipped weapon, its abyss gears and stuff like that. Your shield is going to benefit for your defense, as it sees right here, or see right here goes into your defense stat, which has already been calculated. And then you'll double up your necklace. But take a look at my gloves. They say attack. Take a look at my boots. They say attack. Their number does not contribute to this unless I have the gloves. Like I'm using them right now, as in they're literally unsheathed. Not that I have them equipped. I have to be selecting them and swap over to them. So now I have my gloves out, and this is just the worst lighting for this video right now. But we'll jump back to inventory, and what we can see down here is attack now includes plate gloves and boots separately, meaning anything you punch has 32 attack. Anything you kick has 36 attack. So it's important to know these things because it is very convoluted. It gets even deeper too. If I were to swap this into, say, a two-handed weapon, which still has my shield on the back, I still get the benefits of the movement speed and the defense from the shield. It's one of the very few times that's prevalent or present. Helmets and armor and everything like that, anything that has attack speed on it, it is a general multiplier that is added to the character no matter what. Accessories like earrings, this guy right here, or your necklace, they will always, or rings for that matter, they will always add their benefits. So accessories are always going to add benefits as well. Know these things because it can be really wild, right? Like, hey, you know what? Why am I not getting the benefit of the attack on these? Well, worrying about the attack on your boots and your gloves, if you're not doing unarmed, is not going to help you as much because they're not actually going to pull that attack into you if you're using a two-handed weapon, a dual wield, whatever it is. So this, I think, is the most misunderstood concept of this entire system, and we haven't even gotten into the Abyss gears. Now it is time to finally talk about witches and Abyss gears. Now you can unlock the beginning of this portion by simply going to the very first witch cave that is right north of Hernand. I am at the witch's house in the Witch Woods. Even if you were to come to this house early in the game, it wouldn't matter. You can only access it about midway through chapter 5. So just know that the other witch's house is right here, Shadow Whisper Cave, just north of Hernand. So if you want to get this system online early, you can. You can't do synthesis and creating all of your specific Abyss gears, but if we talk to her and we go to workshop, you'll see that we have embed, extract, create, and craft. You can do the top 3 right out the gate. Craft is what is unlocked in the actual chapter 5. So let's do this sequentially in the way that you would have to deal with it, because there's steps to this. So we'll first talk about creating sockets. And sockets are created on items. So you can see right here, this Glenmore sword, when it has that little symbol right here, the little kind of X's, that is an uncreated socket, versus this, that little open slot, is a created socket. So we have to create the sockets that we want. We would press A and go ahead and scale that up. So we'll go ahead and just make 3 sockets on that item. And it costs you quite a bit of silver, but it's okay as you kind of get through the game. Now, all items in the game have the same amount of sockets. All one-handed weapons have 3 sockets. All shields have 2 sockets. Two-handed weapons, including all ranged weapons, have 5 sockets. That's your weapons. So if you use a two-handed weapon, you still get the same amount of sockets as someone who's using a sword and a shield. Now, it does differ because Abyss gears will only go into certain items, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But what's cool here too is if you decide to forego using a shield, you can use 2 one-handed weapons, which will give you access to 6 sockets, 3 on one hand, 3 on the other. It's the same thing with armor. All helmets have 1 socket, all gloves and boots have 2 sockets, and all armor, the actual chest piece, has 3 sockets. That is how you create these sockets. That's how you use them. It's a pretty, again, straightforward system. It's going to now finally get convoluted. I think I said straightforward for like everything so far, but I swear to God, it's going to start getting convoluted here as we start to craft and put these Abyss gears into different items. So we created those sockets on that one sword, right? Let's go ahead now and go to embed Abyss gears. So we'll go ahead and go over here to the Glenmore sword that we made, and we'll open it up. We're going to sift through these. And it's only going to show me the Abyss gears that I can use. Well, it does, but it shows you the ones you can't use at the bottom. So obviously the ones you can use are over here and not grayed out. But you can see here, this says equipable on melee weapons, on weapons, gloves, and footwear. So you just want to make sure that you're planning out the appropriate Abyss gears for the item that you want to use. Don't sit there and look at this and go, oh, dude, I'm going to put health every 2 seconds on my weapon. It won't work, since it's equipable only on armor. Now, some of these too will also say stuff like this: orbs of lightning imbue lightning. This doesn't give you the imbuement of lightning, and it doesn't give you just orbs of lightning all willy-nilly. You have to imbue with lightning to then get the orbs of lightning. It even says it right there for you. Some of these will just be resistances, some will be pet trust gain, some will be passive stuff all the way around. There's lots of different things here. And it's worth noting, like I said, attack speed is going to be prevalent or present on any item you want, and it will always be active regardless if the weapon is equipped or not. So that is one of the, on everything. Yes, sorry, I got confused in even the saying of that sentence. So that is one of those things. But sometimes this will say stuff like 2% crit rate against cloth armor. That means on targets that have cloth armor. But you'll also see, maybe I don't have any of them. Oh, here, cool, this one, ground surge. Obviously that's going to be used for melee weapons, but you'll see too some that say this is going to give you X percentage bonus damage to rounding slash. No matter what that's on, that will always be active as well. So those are examples of things that will carry over into other items. I don't think any of them are on here right now, but those do exist on items. So any of those kind of like skill-based bonuses, those will always be prevalent as long as they are equipped on your character. So socketing them, embedding them, creating them. But now that you found all these really cool items in the game, what do? Like, I don't want to use the Darkbringer because I really like my weapon, or I don't want to use Maeve's axe because I'm not using one-handed weapons, I'm using two-handed. What can we do about that? We can take the system a step further and extract Abyss gears. So I'm going to go over here to this Delesian longsword. I'm going to select it, and then we can pull off these items. Or conversely, I can just press X and says no Abyss. Now I press X and it go ahead and reduce it and removes them. So it pulls them off. Doesn't cost me anything, which is crucial. Doesn't cost me any resources. Doesn't cost me any silver. So swap Abyss gears as you see fit onto the items that you want. That's the most important portion of this, right? Is that you can build out whatever the hell you need for the type of weapon or the type of armor that you want. And this is where things really do get complicated. You're going to acquire lots of Abyss gear across all of the items that you find in the game and all just the raw Abyss gears that you find. And you're going to see that these Abyss gears have tiers attached to them. Swift 1, Destruction 2. These are all level 1s, I think, for the most part. Some that cannot be upgraded, like Ground Surge here. But these items, these Abyss gears, you'll see I also had 1, 2, 3 insights, right? They allow you to really get custom with the stuff that you've got. This is the kind of, I don't want to say transmog, because transmog applies like a skin on top of a piece of armor. This allows you to use whatever armor you want. Now, you won't be able to really get a one-to-one with the stats. Like, hey, you know, this really good sword that is one-handed won't have the exact same attack as this other one-handed sword, but you will get within a margin of error that will be negligible. Like I said before, please use whatever the hell you want. Screw off any of these videos that say if you don't use this specific item set, you're going to be failing. No, there's so much crap in this game. You can have so much fun in different directions. So what we do here then is we come back to the witch. We meet again. And go to craft Abyss gear. From here, we can actually craft a raw single Abyss item. This is a destruction tier 1, and we can use marigold, Abyss cells, which you can actually grow in your farm on your camp, or plenty of other things here, right? Here's plenty of other ones. You have to find the recipes for them, have them get taught to you by other people, whatever the situation is. So you can simply craft them. I'm going to go ahead and just make now. And we're going to get that destruction level 1. But we also can synthesize them, much like we could with Refinement. Remember Refinement, we could take 2 of the same item and put them together? Well, I can take 2 of these destructions that are tier 1 and put them together to make a tier 2 destruction. That's a pretty great advantage here, right? Do I want to do that? Yeah, we'll do that. So we'll do this. We'll make this really quick. This is going to give us a tier 2 destruction. Wow, how cool. I've done so much. But we now have a special synthesis where we can take and make a random Abyss gear using tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 Abyss gears. But there is a conversion rate. So take a look over here. Take a look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. You can see right below cannot sell. How do I get my cursor back here? There we go. You can see tier 1 Abyss gear 50%. It's a 46% chance this rolls as a tier 2. It is a 4% chance it is a greater Abyss gear. So you can see how this system graduates, right? Tier 1 Abyss gears can make 1 and 2 with a greater chance. Tier 2 Abyss gears can make only 2 and 3, no longer tier 1 with a greater Abyss chance. And tier 3 will only be tier 3 with that 4% greater Abyss gear chance. So if you want greater Abyss gears, it doesn't matter if you do tier 1, 2, or 3, it's the same 4% chance. So I'm going to go ahead and do one of these right now. We'll take, you can choose here, right? We're going to switch the material out for any one of these other tier 1s. So you'd want to take ones that you have tons of, right? Like we've got 2 Primal Banes and 4 Insights. Let's go ahead and make it off of that. We'll just make one just to kind of show for the video. And what did we end up generating? Oh man, it's like gambling, but oh no, someone else's money. And we got Energy Drain level 2. So that is nice because it did upgrade it, right? we hit tier 2 at that 46% chance. Sweet. You know what? We'll even do this because we got it. Whoa, it's only money, right? Okay, we're gonna do a tier 2. Let's see if we get a tier 3. Did we? Maybe yes, no? We got another tier 2. So it's kind of the luck of the draw when it comes to the special synthesis, but this allows you to pull off all of these. Hey, you know what? I'm just not gonna be using this old Blackwing mask or this Hungering Fang leather boots. Whatever it is, I'm not gonna use those Abyss gears. Well, you pull them off, you extract them, and then you come to craft and you then synthesize or special synthesize. Synthesize is going to upgrade the level, remember, of the specific one, or we're going to special synthesize to just gamble and find something different. But it's one of the only reliable ways to get greater Abyss gears. Well, reliable at a 4% chance is kind of a stretch there, right? But this is the kind of secret to this system. So how does this system really matter then? How does this really increase your damage? Well, you're now kind of open to stacking items in a way that makes sense for the specific direction of the character. Hey, you know what? I really want to use this item because I'm always using the orc. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So this item here, I'm going to be using that. And I'm going to just stack all the defense onto it. Or you can use this on Cliff. It's right there. Whatever it is, you kind of have to determine for yourself what approach you want to take with this. But I think at the same time, amplifying, hey, you know what? I want to use Order from the Above because if I press the details on my weapon, I can then see that this is a specific finisher that has spears of light rain down from the sky, damaging nearby enemies. I want that AoE kind of really cool aspect to the game. Well, great. Go ahead and pop into those and start using some of those. There is so much nuance to this system, and I really spent a lot of time kind of slamming my head against it to try to learn as much of it, and still kept finding more and more things to discover. So if you've been really using this system a lot, and there's some things that I maybe that I left out, or there's some pitfalls that are really important to know, go ahead and let it be known in the comment section below. This is what allows you to really unlock a lot of damage for your character. But at the same time, it allows you to swap into weapons, items, and armor pieces that you like the look of over other ones. Hey, I'm going to just use this set because I like it, and that's the one I want to spend the most time. You can take the pre-order armor that you got from the deluxe edition or whatever, and just have that be the main set you want if you just fill it with the Abyss gears that you want to use and jack everything up using the refinement system. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. If you found the information in this video helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. You know, each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Also, if you've not picked up the game, you can use my link to Fanatical below. You get a 15% discount right now if it's still in stock. And my dog Roman gets the 7% commission because he gets all the money that I ever make. Why wouldn't he, right? Also, you can find a link to my Twitch in the description below. Go ahead and check me out. I stream this game and plenty of other ones on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But as always, again, guys, thank you so much for watching here. Have a good one and take care.